Okie dokie, let's give away a free wedding cake. This is episode 3. If you haven't seen episodes 1 and 2, go watch them now. Otherwise, let's get into it. Okay, so couple number 3 is Cara and Eddie. We just had a meeting with the couple, and with this competition, I get to do whatever I want, by the way. They don't get a say in the design. They don't see the cake until the day. We do want to make sure it matches their wedding.
It's quite a small wedding, 60 guests.
Okay, so it's not small, but it's not large.
Yeah, no, they want like an intimate dinner party kind of vibe.
Okay,
yes.
And it's also kind of rustic, isn't it? And they're wanting buttercream and no fondant.
They said in front of the florals.
They did.
Yes.
They were sort of pink,
Yeah.
peach, white.
And we want to have impact, but it's not going to be a massive cake.
Right, so maybe we bring in one of those perspex tiers, a fake tier to bring the height of the cake to make it bigger. Those perspex tiers, you fill them with things and they're clear, and anyway, I think it'll look amazing. So let's chat about the design. Okay, so it's going to be 3 tiers, but the middle tier is going to be the perspex tier, and I'm going to tie that perspex tier in with some buttercream as well. That middle tier is going to be filled with flowers, and then the whole cake is going to be buttercream with some watercolour, some pinks and peaches. The buttercream is going to have a textured top on them, so unfinished edges, flowers on the top and the bottom, and on a wooden board. All right, yay! Let's get started. Okay, so this is the day before the wedding. I'm starting with the bottom tier, which is a 10-inch. It's a white chocolate raspberry mud cake with white chocolate ganache and raspberry jam in the layers. Once I had that bottom tier stacked, I moved on to the top tier. This is a 6-inch, and I'm doing a caramel mud cake with chocolate ganache and salted caramel in the layers. Now it's time for the buttercream. I'm doing both tiers in white. I always like to do 2 coats of buttercream because I feel like it just ends up with a much cleaner result. So I always do a crumb coat and then a top coat. As mentioned before when I was talking about the design, this cake is having uncut edges. So I'm going to leave those edges like that and not going to cut them off like I normally would. Now it's time to add the perspex tier. This is from Prop Options and they have heaps of sizes available. Now you can see I piped some buttercream around the bottom of that perspex tier, and that was really to make it look like part of the cake and not like I just stuck it on there. It gave sort of like a fault line effect on that perspex tier and really tied in with those unfinished edges. So that was where I stopped on that first day, and now it is the day of the wedding. It's time to add all the finishing touches, and I'm starting with the watercolor buttercream. I'm going in with a pale pink and like a dusky rose pink, and I placed it all on using a palette knife, and I've just left it really textured. Now it's time to fill up that perspex tier with the artificial florals. Now we were able to get the same flowers from the same supplier that the bride is using, so everything would look very cohesive. Once I had that middle tier all filled, it was time to add an arrangement down the bottom, and that is that bottom section of the cake done. That I boxed that up and then moved on to this top tier. So I just had to do some of that textured watercolor buttercream in the pinks, and then I added a floral arrangement on top. And that's it, the cake is all done, boxed up, ready to go. We chucked him in the car and we had about a half an hour drive to the venue. Let's see if we can put this in the fridge. Hold that too.
Here's my phone. So nice.
Okay, so once we made it inside, it was time to set the cake up. Obviously, the first 2 tiers were already all put together, and all I had to do was pop it in its spot and then pop that top tier onto the perspex tier. I decided to stick that top tier onto the perspex lid just for a little bit of peace of mind. Once I had that top tier on, we stood back and admired the cake because it was beautiful. I just loved how it was quite traditional looking, but still had that wow factor with that clear middle tier. It had that point of difference that maybe not many people had seen, and I loved that about it. So there it is in all its glory. Here it is next to the sketch I did at the start, and it's pretty bang on. So a big congratulations to Cara and Eddie. They said they absolutely loved their cake, and I just want to thank them for trusting us to make it.